I'm Archibald Whizbang.
And I am the ghost of Christmas past.
You're not very glowing with Christmas past cheer as I expected.
That's because I'm just glad that Christmas is past.
Ah, I get you there. I see where you're going with
Yes.
that.
I'm the grumpy ghost.
Yeah, and we stirred up a lot of replies to Mandalay because we were both kind of, eh, there it is. But other,
That's not how the tag team song goes. Well, actually, no, that's from the woman's perspective. Yeah, there it is.
there it is. All right. Well, let's get going on this and get it over with because we got a lot of comments and I only slept an hour last night. So let's do this.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Which is what
we've
my wife
got.
said to me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You say, take my wife, please? What? No. Okay, Hanny Youngman.
Mm.
Aaron Jansen says, it's like they say, ignorance is bliss. I didn't realize Mandalay was a city. I always figured it was a name of a fictitious woman.
Hmm.
The lyrics make a lot more sense when you figure it's a love song. It's not an amazing song, but that's what I love about E.L.O. Even their lesser level songs aren't brutally terrible. As a younger fan of classic rock, I benefit from bands' entire discographies being an open book when I stumble upon them. I'll usually listen to the greatest hits, and if that moves me, I'll go on to the albums. I might get some hate for this, but take a band like Bad Company. Their greatest hits would be what I'd expect to find on an album. Compared to E.L.O.'s New World Record, and I'd choose that single album over the best of Bad Company's best any day. Take Grand Funk Railroad as another example. Amazing greatest hits, but once you listen to their albums with dismay, you quickly realize they were a singles band. That's what makes E.L.O. so awestruckingly amazing. Wow. Their discography is mind blowing, and every song received the same production value on the albums. Can't say the same for the Moody Blues. The new material doesn't do what it used to, but it's still a valuable part of my record collection. More Jeff. Always yes, please. Hey, it's better than anything Paul McCartney has released in over a decade. Love the Jeff explaining why he doesn't use orchestra clip. Too bad though. The synth strings are good live, but really don't replace the real thing on record. I've got a pretty nice synth, and believe me, there are so many limitations. Sorry for this being so long. Maybe I need to start a blog or something. Well, you should always think about doing that. Bad Company, I would suggest listening to their first album, Grand Funk. We're an American band. Both solid albums, but yeah, you're right for the most part. A lot of Bad Company. The quality went down album after album. So yeah, I would. You're completely right there. Grand Funk was hit and miss. Um, so yeah, I see what you're saying. I do completely agree with you with Electric Light Orchestra. Even though they released tons of great singles, they also were a good album band as well.
Yeah. Yeah, as for Bad Company, I haven't really gotten deep into their discography. I pretty much know the radio hits. I freaking love rock and roll fantasy. Um, but yeah, I don't know much about them. I guess they haven't as much as I like the songs that I have heard. I guess they haven't excited me enough to go and dig deeper into their discography. As for Grand Funk Railroad, uh, I'd be happy if you just push them right off the railroad, just like at the end of Back to the Future Part 3. Just push that train right off the unfinished bridge and down into the ravine. And I don't like Grand Funk Railroad. And I especially despise We're an American Band after it was used in commercials in 2003 or something for some trucks, and it just every 30 seconds that damn commercial would play. So that ruined it for me. And as for that knock on McCartney, I've liked Paul's albums. I'm trying to think of the albums that Paul has done in the last 10 years. Forgot to look up
McCartney
the.
3.
I liked McCartney 3. I liked New. That was 2013. Uh, Egypt Station. I liked that. So, I mean, I'm not saying Paul's released a perfect discography between Tug of War and Off the Ground, that was a lot of bland, lame. Like, well, I don't know. Pipes of Peace had some good stuff on it. Okay. Give my regards to Broad Street. There was 10 years, like from 84 to 93. He was putting out bland, but after that, he got much better. I think he needs to work with the Beatles every 15 years or so to get his music mojo back. Although I will agree his voice is slipping, but I think he learns how to use that to its effect on McCartney 3. I don't think he, you know, I don't think he pushes it in some sort of denial that, no, I still got it. Here, watch me. Watch me. Wonderful Christmas time. See? Still got it. So I don't think he's unaware that the voice isn't what it used to be.
Yeah, and as for the Moody Blues, unfortunately, um, it had to do a lot with loss of members as it went along, and
Mm,
also members getting old.
yeah. Yeah.
And the sound sounded older and older as it went along. It really, um, yeah, they released some good stuff after from '78 forward, but I mean, long distance Voyager is a pretty decent album.
Love that album.
Yeah, but largely, yeah, except for that album, really, it would have been best if they had ended with Seventh Sojourn, because
Yeah.
that's really where the Moody Blues sound ends.
Yeah.
Octave forward, it could probably be a completely different band, and that's why The Voice and Gemini Dream get listed as E.L.O. songs in some places.
Yes, and reminded me that a while back somebody thought that a Moody Blues song was an ELO song back in '81, and I thought it was Gemini Dream because it came out around the same time as Hold On Tight. But no, the person was talking about The Voice, which, yeah, I can see how that would be mistaken for an ELO song, especially when you got the album version with that cool beginning.
Yeah, that's Patrick Moraz's keyboard, so his keyboard sound though is completely different than Richard Tandy's.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Mark Jealous. I think we will have to agree to disagree on this one, Eric's. For me, this one is a brooding, slow-burning, solemn, and haunting great Jeff track. My newfound fondness for lyrical interpretation, thanks to your good selves, oh, thank you very much, made me have a think about this song lyrics, especially since they seem to generate puzzlement amongst some you mentioned. I'm not sure Jeff is thinking about the city so much, but the Kipling poem Mandalay. He seems to be missing the place, or is it the person he knew out there? Kipling's poem makes reference to the subject having a Burmese girlfriend. In Jeff's case, maybe he is relating feelings to someone far away, either in physical or emotional terms. Maybe because relations went sour and Jeff now realizes how important this person really was to him. Pages filled with science fiction. Well, H.G. Wells was a contemporary of Kipling. Even if that link is a little far-fetched, this could be a reference to promises and genuine feelings expressed at the time through love letters, without fear of contradiction. Sadly, these were never fully realized because for whatever reason, Jeff backed out. Certainly retribution for that mistake may well be the disillusion he now feels. That love has died like the leaves on the trees which now fall to the ground, referenced by the descending synth note tingle. The rather epic feel of the song could be a testament to imperial glory and a personal glory, which in both cases are now a thing of the past. The fading lament at the end of the song, with the military drums and the lonesome ghostly falsetto, marks those memories' final journey to nothingness. Mark's comments remind me of what I said way back in episode 000, that I'm basically the rube, and it's like song makes me happy. This is a lot of stuff to fill my brain gourd with, and it's really pretty freaking awesome stuff that I wish I had the smarts to have picked up on when listening to the song because this is all pretty freaking cool.
I've never read the Rudyard Kipling poem, so I really can't comment on that. I meant to do that before this, and I completely forgot to do that. But I don't know. Maybe I'll take a look at it and maybe have a response next week on that.
Yeah. Well,
A
I
little
know
aside.
I know Kipling was a writer, and that's all I know. I haven't
He
read.
wrote Jungle Book.
Oh, oh. Okay. I was gonna make a joke, but then I was like, oh no, wait, yeah, no, it is the
Yes.
Disney. Okay,
Yeah.
or
No,
Disney.
he wrote Jungle Book.
They
That Disney made the cartoon off of. Yes.
yeah, they Disneyfied it. So yeah. Okay, so my joke wouldn't be a joke. So all right.
Okay. Scott McGee says one of the very, very few tracks I skip, as I honestly believe this is not one of Jeff's best songs.
Tracer Anthony comes across as Jeff describing a dreamy, hazy acid trip. I can see that.
Trevor Raggett. I almost said Regatti because of the way that the format there.
Oh yeah.
Regatti. Okay. Trevor Raggett said, I have to agree with both the Erics in the strongest terms. Nothing good comes out of Mandalay indeed. Pish, tish, and twaddle. But yeah, okay, good. I pronounced that right, so we're not going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, for a start, it does have a very pretty historic temple. And then there's the Rudyard Kipling poem, The Road to Mandalay. Okay, it's a wee bit problematically colonial in modern day terms, like most of Kipling's stuff is. But most commentators would agree that it's more of a romantic view of the Far East than an imperialist one. And of course, that gave rise to a cool song of the same name on Frank Sinatra's Come Fly With Me album. Then there's even a song by Robbie Williams called The Road to Mandalay, which I think we can skip listening to Robbie Williams. Yeah,
We won't be doing a song by song Robbie Williams podcast.
definitely not.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with either Kipling or Old Blue Eyes, but it's actually one of his better songs. And then there's Jeff's Mandalay, which is fair enough. Just a dull, monotonous song which could barely make B-side fodder if it tried. I have to agree with you both on that one.
Well, good. MJ Folds. If this was a Friends episode, it would be called the one where MJ joins the podcast. Glad my first silly jingle has been released into the world. So far, Eric PJ had been the only one enjoying these little musical delights from me. I would have to join the podcast. I would have to join the podcast for the most unjoyous song ever. Well, we still got about 100 songs to go, so there'll be more joyous stuff for you to jingle up.
Hopefully there will be. Mike Hudson says, okay, first off, I have to disagree with both Eric's and Troy. I like this song. I think it's very interesting. We get a very rare thing on this track. Jeff processes the verses of the song through reverb. Jeff has stated many times that he hates reverb and only occasionally uses it, usually as a special effect, such as in the opening of So Fine or the final down of Don't Bring Me Down. But in this song, we get syrupy, dripping, wet reverb repeatedly. That's why I had to wash my hands after listening to this thing. I almost wonder if he was smoking something that day. I know why Jeff normally doesn't use reverb. It's because most of his mixes are so dense with all the different instruments and voices that reverb would just muddy them up. But this song is a lot more sparse than a typical E.L.O. song, so it works better with some reverb. Next thing, I don't know what the heck Troy is talking about concerning vocoder in this song. There's not 1 second of vocals being processed through a vocoder in this track. There's a lot of vocals being processed through EQ filters, but no vocoder. And while I'm on the subject, no disrespect, Troy, but the word is vocoder, not vocorder. In Troy's defense, I've heard other people say this too. I assume Troy's talking about the section that has the lyrics, Mandalay, now I know what you try to be, Mandalay, now I wish you were here with me. But that's just some stacked harmonies being processed through EQ, which is thinning out the sound. The next lines about pages filled with science fiction are also being processed through a similar EQ, but this time just a single voice instead of stacked harmonies. But back to me liking Mandalay. I like the slow tempo and the Spartan arrangement with little keyboard flourishes here and there. There's some interesting synthesis going on in this one, nice harmonies and backing vocals. The song makes me think of being somewhere other in another country, perhaps South America. I have no idea where Mandalay really is, and I'm not going to look it up right now. I also have no idea what the lyrics are about, and at times I almost feel like Jeff is rhyming big words just for the sake of doing so in the song. But the song has always evoked a feeling that it should be the soundtrack to some kind of movie, perhaps a Western movie set in Mexico or somewhere similar. I will say that this song kind of suffers from the same problem that Loser Gone Wild does. I don't think it really needs that last verse. Ordinarily, I'm all for E.L.O. songs being long. In recent years, we have gotten all these abbreviated songs on the Alone in the Universe and From Out of Nowhere albums, and even before that on Zoom and Balance of Power. There are certain songs from some of those albums that should have been longer than they were. Even before those albums, we've gotten short songs such as Above the Clouds and Believe Me Now that both might have benefited from being a tad longer. But maybe not. Maybe they're perfect as they are, but Mandalay just seems to drag on towards the end. I don't mind the long fade out section, and Bev's marching snare is a nice treat, but I think this song probably could have been about 1 minute shorter and still be a really good song. Other than that, I have no problem with this song at all.
Yeah, Troy also says guitar instead of guitar, which
It's Indiana.
yes, it's. I'm sure
It,
it's a
they also tend to add that R in wash to
wash.
where wash becomes warsh.
Yeah,
I know my mom's from Indiana.
I say wash too. I know it's wash. I say wash because it's kind of a little bit fun to say wash. I also still say Canada. I know it's Canada. I know it's Canadian. I say Canada because somebody wrote a story in my satire underground newspaper about that teenagers today can't find Canada on a map. And so Canada just stuck in my head. And for the last 20 years, oh yeah, Canada. So, so while I understand the annoyance of words being mispronounced, um, it, sometimes I find it amusing. It just depends on the word, for whether it bugs me enough to say, no, no, it's Holly Jolly Christmas, not Holly Gully Christmas. Get it right.
I was about to, yeah, I was about to go someplace else, but then I realized, oh no, if I do that, we are going to be canceled. So,
Okay. Sam
yeah, that's
DeMilt.
Christmas Story. That's the hint.
Okay. Sam DeMilt. A great concept song. In my mind, it's the sound of finding an alien artifact in the desert. I kind of like that idea. Like Mr. Mister's broken wings, synths at the time were good at making an otherworldly noise. Yes, they were. I almost kind of forgot about Mr. Mister. Nothing again. Well, I only know
Never
there are
been
two
in a
songs.
grocery store. You do not forget about broken wings. No.
That's true. I mean, I don't
That
have
thing
a
would be
problem.
played in grocery stores a year after it came out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have
Yeah.
a problem with. I don't have a problem with Broken Wings or Kyrie, and that's all I can remember from them. I know they had two other hits, but that's a long time ago.
Those
It's
are the only
gone.
two songs I remember from them too, other than I remember lead singer or guitarist was a son of a Presbyterian minister here in Phoenix. That's about all I remember. I know they were in some local bands, and I can't remember which ones.
Johnny and
Long
his leisure suits.
they were in. One of them was in Johnny and Leisure Suits.
Yes, Jonathan
Okay.
Brandmeier's band for the 99.9% of the rest of the world who have no idea what I'm talking about. Jonathan Brandmeier was a morning DJ at KZZP in the early 80s, and he was huge when he was here in Phoenix, and he also did his own silly songs and uh, Brad Page, I think.
It's
I'm
Brian.
not entirely sure. He was in the band Johnny and the Leisure Suits John Brandmeier's band, and if you get a copy of the Snowbird song, the single, look on the back sleeve, and he's listed there. And then years later, or he's a brother, but I think he's actually the same guy who was in Johnny and His Leisure Suits, and then later went on to Mr. Mister.
Yeah, I think he might either him or somebody in his family was also in a band called Destiny. They
Yes, and
released called Letting Go.
Destiny was the first version. You know what? If you bring up Jonathan Brammer, I'm going to go into something that should be a whole separate podcast that nobody here is going to care about. So I'll just say,
True.
yes, you're right. And then
Okay,
we'll end this here because this is already a pretty long Zoomcast. So, okay.
exactly. Now we're getting into Mr. Mister of all things.
Yes. Okay. All right.
And my yeah, in about 15 minutes, my internet's going to reset anyways and kick us off no matter how we continue. So I think that's about time to say goodnight, Gracie.
All right. All right. These are our last few words later. That was something Jonathan Brandmeier ended his show with. Okay. Nobody cares
Okay.
but me and a few people. All right.